What is going on, YouTube? Lamont at Large coming to you live from the Park Cemetery here in Fairmount, Indiana. I'm here to visit the grave of legendary actor James Dean. James Dean was actually born in Marion, and his family moved out to Los Angeles when he was a kid so his father could practice his dentistry over there. And when he was about 9 years old, his mother died of uterine cancer, and his father, for some odd reason, sent him back to live with his family, which is here in Fairmount. And he stayed here until he graduated high school. He was a pretty popular student here. He played varsity sports, stuff like that, and took a real interest in acting at that time. Later on, when he graduated, he moved out to Los Angeles, and he enrolled in Santa Monica City College. He was going to study pre-law, so it looked like, according to his family, he was going to become a lawyer, but the acting bug struck him, and that's when he, after that, went to UCLA and took some classes, some acting classes, and that's pretty much how he got discovered. And he played in a couple bit movies here and there, but his real big movie was, that I know him from, is Rebel Without a Cause. I watched that movie when I was in the 10th grade. All I remember about that movie is it just seemed about kids, growing up as a kid, all the anguish, the feelings of not belonging. So it was almost like a bunch of misfits getting together. And I do remember in that movie, there was a kid that really looked up to James Dean's character. And when I was in class, I was like, this kid almost seems like he's gay. So it's almost like Hollywood then kind of snuck in the idea that, hey, being gay is a thing. Not really quite sure if that's what they meant that character to be, but if you watch Rebel Without a Cause, you know what exactly the character that I'm speaking about is. And after Rebel Without a Cause, he was in a couple big movies. Garden, I think it was called Garden of Eden, and the movie Giant. One of those movies that slips my memory is he was killed in an automobile accident during filming of. He died in a city called, I would apologize, I don't know the name of it, Chisholm. I've never even heard of this city. I'm sure you guys will comment below what city it was. According to the investigators at the scene, he was driving his 1955 Porsche 550 Spider. A lot of people don't know this, but James Dean was really into racing. He had won a couple, amateur races. That seemed to be his growing passion, was just him racing vehicles, racing cars. And that, unfortunately, is what led him to his death, depending on who you want to believe. The investigators at the scene of the accident were when James Dean, he was with his, I believe he's with a stunt coordinator sitting next to him. And they had told him that, he should drive his car, his Porsche up to Salinas, to the races, just to kind of break it in. And at that time, when Dean signed a movie contract, I believe it was a 9-picture, $1 million contract. In the contract, it said that he was not supposed to race. They didn't want him racing any vehicles or anything along those lines. And at the time of his death, he wasn't necessarily racing. What happened was he was going down a highway and somebody turned left in front of him, and he tried to stop his brakes. And unfortunately, he didn't. He collided with the car. Some people say he collided around 90 miles an hour. Others would say it was 55 miles an hour. Whatever the case might be, that resulted in his untimely death. When he was trapped in the car, there was a nurse who happened to be at the scene who went to check on Dean, and she felt his pulse. And even though there was a faint pulse, she knew that just due to the severity of his injuries that he was soon gonna die. And that's exactly what happened. And as I wait for the adoring fans to finally depart, here is the grave of James Dean, 1931 to 1955. And of course, as you can see, this grave has been cleaned so many times because people keep leaving kiss marks on it, and the cleaners that they've used to wipe the grave off have deteriorated it pretty good. It's very smooth. Now, it is also engraved on the other side, James Dean. And to his right are his dad, Winton Dean, and Ethel Dean is his stepmother, Winton's second wife. His first wife is buried at a cemetery in Marion, which is where they are originally from. I just seen a picture of his mother online. She looks like she could have some other race mixed in her DNA, not just white. So maybe he was mixed with something else and he may not have known, or maybe he did know. A man that never got a chance to really make it big. And, you know, he was a big actor in his time, but he wasn't as big as he is now. It just seems to me every year that goes forward, he seems to get bigger and bigger. Very, very young guy. He had wanted to race in the Indy 500. That was one of his main goals when he was racing cars. And you know what, honestly, who would have known? Who would have known what would have happened? He could have turned into a race car driver. Who knows? But anyways, rest in peace to James Dean, a heartthrob that you don't get many guys that have that look. I was talking to a friend. Was telling about that I was going to visit this grave. And she told me that somebody had wrote in an article that if James Dean had been born today, like, he wouldn't be a famous actor. And to that I say, well, if I was born in 1910, I would be a millionaire. People's opinions, they're kind of like a rectum. Everybody has one. Anyways, live but not live, but still alive by the grace of God. I am Lamont at Large from Park Cemetery in Fairview, Indiana. I am out of here. Peace out.